everybody. Welcome to Songwriter Sunday. I'm your weekly host, Nicholas Kazonis. And today we have a very special guest for our first Songwriter Sunday. Since we switched from Freakin Fridays, we're now doing them on Sunday evenings to kind of give everybody an opportunity to watch. But today our very special guest is my very good friend, Mr. Tom McClure. And we're going to be playing some songs, talking stuff, making bad jokes. And we hope that you guys enjoy the show. So Tom, tell me a little bit about yourself, my friend.
Well, I didn't know this, but I guess I'm an old head in the game. I've been doing it for the last 20-something years, and started out just playing in my bedroom, and then got in a couple bands, and just been doing it since the late 90s now. But,
okay.
Yeah.
What did it look like? Just starting out. How old would you say you were, and where, what part of the country? I mean, you're here for the region, but I know you've traveled a bit.
Yeah, I was here in Chesterton. Yeah.
Okay, you were here in Chesterton. Okay.
I bought my first guitar when I was 18, learned how to play guitar, and then from there kind of adapted it to the bass, which, it's not that hard to do, but for where I was, bass is definitely difficult. But
yeah.
And I had some friends that were putting a band together. I was like 20 or 21.
Okay.
And they heard me thumping around on the bass. And so they invited me to join their band. And then kind of from there, I just fell in love with playing in public and gigging out. And
what kind of style? Like, we all kind of evolved into this thing. Yeah. But what was like some of your influences when you were growing up?
Man, it started way back. I'm fourth of 5 kids. And it's me and my younger brother who are 2 years apart. And then the next oldest sibling is 11 years older than me. And it's 11, 13, and 15 years old. So by the time I was like into second grade, they're all graduating from high school.
Okay.
So my musical influences were pretty much what they were listening to back then. And, most of the kids at that age were probably listening to like Raffi and Sharon Lois and Bram records. And I'm in the living room with my lighter out, like, who's gonna drive you home tonight? Because I was watching
in second grade.
Yeah.
What's that kid doing with a lighter?
Yeah, there's no one like you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I was watching MTV a lot back then, and remembered when Dire Straits had a bunch of videos out in cars when MTV still played music.
Yeah,
and
isn't that weird?
Yeah,
music television that it was just like I don't know.
It's good stuff. We all get older, and I guess they did too. But it was a good time to have cable TV, to be honest with you. But
newsflash: we didn't have cable TV. We had a cheater box.
I think the statute of limitations has run out on.
I think we're good.
I think.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, right. But it was the love for it came back early for me, like when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I was super into Styx. My older brothers were into Styx and Journey and REO Speedwagon and all that kind of stuff. So that was
a lot of classic rock kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
kind of where my base is. And then when I got into high school, the stuff that came out, Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Blind Melon and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
That kind of turned my ear to more of a rock sound, a grungy rock sound.
Grungy rock, yeah, alternative.
But
stuff.
I still love vocal harmonies and strong. It comes from my love for Styx, doing big 4-part harmonies and all that stuff. So
very cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So now, did you play other instruments like growing up? Like since you're like at Chesterton, you're in like the band program or anything like that? Or
choir. I was
choir.
I was in choir the whole time. I took piano lessons when I was younger, but it just didn't stick, and it was real dry. And I wish I'd stuck with it now, but
of course, that's what I tell all my students. I'm like, I know that we're playing kind of not your favorite stuff right now.
Yeah,
we're not playing like Miley Cyrus or whatever. But But this Ode to Joy is really important.
Right.
Or this Bach piece is like really important. Like let's do it.
Yeah, when you're an 11 or 12-year-old kid, like this is really dry. It's so sterile. It's boring.
It's like this song is 300 years old. It's as old as you. Let's play something different.
Yeah. And now I'm 300 years old, so all the music's like
so it makes sense to us.
Yeah.
So. Do you have any kind of like educational background, like any kind of like?
No, I'm dumb. I don't.
I didn't mean it that way. I was just curious because you play like really you'll play a chord and you know what the name of it is, and some people just like don't have any idea what they're playing, or what key they're in. I was just curious, like what some of your just studies through YouTube, maybe growing up, or just books or
books. Yeah, okay. It was. When I bought my first guitar, I was 18, and I went to college, and I had a awesome collection of CDs in that big black binder
the
folder.
the leather binder thing, yeah.
And so I bought a book of tabs for a whole lot of classic rock stuff, and kind of started riffing through that. But they would have the chord charts at the top of the page, and then I would be like, okay, B flat major 7, and then realize that was,
Yeah.
and then just piecing it together and just doing it for 20 something years, you get familiar. And I'm not always spot on, I think it's a D, and somebody who's been to college for it, like, no, it's not.
No, it's okay. That's all right. I tell people I went to college because like I thought like that's what you had to do, like I was just kind of how I was raised. Yeah. And but it's funny because I don't think that I would have really followed through with everything had I not been put through the ringer in college. Because it was like I didn't have I should put it this way. I didn't have the confidence to go out and meet people and like learn about, music theory and talk about these different things like that. I just didn't have the confidence. I just was like, I just play like heavy metal and Greek music, and that's what I do, and so, but I loved funk, I loved soul, I loved R&B, I loved alternative rock, like I grew up. I think my very first CD I ever had was It's Been a Hard Day's Night by the Beatles, but my second CD I ever had was Dookie Green Day.
Oh yeah.
So that was like the first 2 CDs, and then the third one was Nirvana, Muddy Banks of the Wishka.
Oh yeah.
So it was like this weird, like, where am I going? Like, what's happening? And I just fell in love with guitar.
Yeah. My first 2 were Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, and Poison. Those are the first 2 cassettes I had saved up paper
Chase
out
in
money
the
to
back
buy.
is probably pumped to hear that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about songwriting. So how long have you been you've been playing for a while, kind of playing some of your influences stuff. How long have you been actually songwriting now?
I think once I learned more than like 3 or 4 chords, I was like, I think I could probably put something together. The first song I wrote was actually for my younger brother, a song called Jerry Sucks. And it was just I pilfered a chord from a Billy Joel song I was trying to play through, and then just wrote him a little ode to brotherly love. And it was just a little short thing. But as soon as I could string a couple chords together and feel confident.
That's so cool.
I just started writing stuff. And the first band that I was in with Eric and Brian Fine, hey guys, Echo Farm, we recorded a demo CD with actually Gary Loizo. He was a lead singer for American Breed, did the Bend Me, Shake Me back in the 60s, and then did all of the, I say all of them, the popular Styx albums back in the 70s in Grand Illusion, Paradise Theater, all that stuff. He was the sound engineer for that. And so we recorded a little 4-song or 5-song EP with him. And one of my original songs got voted onto that. And it was cool, recording one of my songs with this guy that I idolized, or at least the bands he represented.
Yeah.
And
isn't that's just so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
How, like, I meet people now that I'm friends with that I'm like, I've been watching their music for like 10, 15 years, and it's like the music community is so small, really. It really is very small. But I mean, it's huge spanning wise, but it's just like it's so easy to get connected to people that like you really, are inspired by.
Yeah.
But I like watch some of these musicians that I've been watching these musicians for many, many years, and now I'm, like you said, like you had that opportunity to go with them. It's like, oh my God, that's so cool,
Yeah.
Was there any kind of like, so this is a side note, but was there any kind of like nervousness being in the studio with him? Like,
oh yeah.
Okay,
Like we were driving up, and we got to, because he lived in Tinley Park. He's passed on now, but he lived in Tinley Park, and so we left at like 6:30 in the morning just because we were excited to get out there. I don't think our session was till 10. And there's videos of us like pulling our gig van up into like this driving range batting cage place, and we're just trying to let off some of that nervous energy, just swatting at fastballs. But yeah, we walked in the studio, and it's rock memorabilia. And for a Styx fan, it was like the Taj Mahal. There's like the platinum Grand Illusion record on the wall and Paradise Theater, all this stuff. And he's still, up until the time he passed, he was still doing sound for Styx. And so there was a lot of like oh my God. And we drove him nuts with like questions. So what was your favorite song to record?
He's like, can we just get to this verse already?
At one point I asked him a question about what was his favorite Styx song to record. And he's like, he just kind of leans forward. He's like, I was in a band too. All right, sorry. But super nice guy, super fun experience, and something I won't ever forget. And we actually ended up landing a Battle of the Bands spot in at the Star Plaza before they tore that down. At the Star Plaza off that EP that we recorded, so that was pretty fun.
That's awesome. So, what would you say? What's the first tune today? What inspired it? Let's talk about that.
The first song I have is a ballad I wrote during the COVID lockdown.
Okay.
It's for my girlfriend, and right. And it's a song called "Love Somebody Right," which I have on an EP, and which I recorded here with you.
Yes,
and,
you did. I remember that.
But yeah, it's just a little simple ode to my girlfriend and the kind of things that we have together now. And
cool.
Yeah.
What was the process like writing it? I mean, since you had all this time, it was COVID, right?
It was.
You're like, I love you so much. I see you 24 hours a
right.
day.
Even when we're locked down together, I still kind of love you a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of noodling. I mean, you have all this time during the day, and I wasn't working at the time, and I would just sit down and noodle. And I think I was playing another song that had a similar chord progression to it.
Okay.
And then just kind of worked out one that didn't sound like that. And then, and then the music came first.
Music came first. Okay, now we're on to something.
And so the chords were first, and then from there I was like, what is this song trying to say? Just based on the chords. And I thought, this is a love song. And then from there, it just kind of went.
And I like love. Everybody likes love.
Everybody likes love. And I like my girlfriend. So then, figured it was sweet.
Very cool. Well, let's dive into it.
All right.
I won't ask any more questions. We're just going to get right in it.
All right. It's a song called Love Somebody Right. Only ever hurt, I only felt the pain. I only loved somebody who called someone else's name. Then you came along and you showed me love doesn't have to be a fight. Yeah, you told me how to love somebody right. A little bit of me, a little bit of you, but heaven help the next one from what our ex-ones are gonna do. Ain't nothing like a little broken heart that'll set you right. It'll show you how to love somebody right. Been a long road and it took some time for everything to come to be and work out right. You're the song, love, my words just seem to rhyme. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. The love I missed was right here all along. From the first light in the morning till we turn off our heads, life feels a little sweeter as it tears us to shreds. You're the needle to my groove, my favorite 45. You're the reason It feels good to be alive. It's been a long road and it took some time for everything to come to be and work out right. You're the song, love, my words just seem to rhyme. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. The love I missed was right here all along.
Such a beautiful tune, man. I remember when we recorded that. It was like, so it's weird. It's like we were kind of talking about this just before we got started, like off camera. But it was like, you know, when we first start writing something, we come into the studio, we're like kind of just getting the feel of it. We wanted a clean take and all that. But being able to hear it now, where it's been a year and a half almost, maybe. Yeah, I would say it's like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's incredible to think that like how something just evolves so naturally.
Yeah.
You know, what's that process feel like to you? Is it something that you're always cognitive of, or is it like, oh, I sound just so much better now that I've got it under my fingers? You know,
I do. I listen back on the take I laid down here, and I hear kind of the nervousness, and because I had just written it like a month before I came in to record it, and I can kind of hear the tightness in it, and like I'm thinking about the chords and about the words.
And by the way, folks, it's obviously a great tune, but it's like a great like everything was, the performance was good on the recording. It's just like there's got a thing to it when it's live. You know, it's just
too much thinking. I think. That's my problem. Is I start thinking too much. Like, what are the words? What are the words? And sometimes the hardest thing for me to do is run through a song twice, and then go back and start it over again, and then remember. Like the words, they're my words. I wrote them down, but
just how you enunciated it, how there's all those little like details, right? Yeah. Like it's something you have to be really cognitive of.
Yeah, little vocal embellishments and things. It just come with being comfortable with it. You can kind of go on autopilot with the chords or even the words, and you just kind of get just familiar, you know. And songwriters talk about songs being their babies or their, you know, like I wrote this as my baby, and it is like anything. You
have to nurture it.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
just kind of go with it and play it all the time. Drive your family and friends nuts because that's all you ever play when you pick up a guitar. And then all of a sudden, a year and a half later, you got Nick telling you it's a beautiful song.
And that's your life's accomplishment, isn't it?
Yeah. Cut. We're done, right?
Yeah, we're done now. The show is done. But no, I think that's just I wanted to touch on that because. It's something that's really important. I listened back to like my very first solo album CDs, and I just am like, ooh, yeah, I could sing those 10 times better. Should I just read? But it's funny because I've already redone that album once.
Yeah,
I did it like I had the like kind of like the acoustic, you know, like just me playing all the instruments kind of thing. But then I ended up doing live arrangements with shout out to Sonny Lee Tritt, who did all the horn arrangements. We added drums, bass, guitar, secondary guitar, organ, and keys. It was like the huge Nick Kazonis band, right? My first Seasons album. And it's just funny because I can hear, like when people are like, oh, you know, let me listen like your first release. I'm always like, just listen to the remake of it, the live version with the band, you know? It was a year and a half later. It just sounded so much cleaner. Yeah, it's just, and that made me think about that. That's all. So I'll get off that tangent, I promise, folks. And Chase will not kill me for going over on time.
Do you find that you critique your...
I asked the questions here, Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like... Lots of people have a problem hearing their voice recorded. Like to me, it sounds one way in my head coming out of my face. But then when you hear it back, you're like, I nailed those notes. There's no way it sounds like that on the recording. Do you find yourself like picking it apart, critiquing it?
Absolutely, especially being an engineer and a producer as well. Besides just being the musician, the guys will tell you. Chase and Ben will tell you, and he's probably laughing his ass off back there. Now. I hate the sound of my voice. I hate it. And he was like, I don't.
Chase
like,
does too. He told me before you guys.
Ooh, I like you. I like you a lot. So, but yeah, I don't like the sound of my voice because it sounds nasally to me when I listen back to it.
Yeah.
But like when it's in my head, it doesn't sound that way.
Right.
It's like so weird. It's so weird because it just resonates in your body, right? Like
it's your whole head shaking and then making pretty songs.
Yeah, that's questionably pretty.
Yeah.
But so I guess this kind of leads into my next question, like about comfort. You know, like when we find that comfortable place. You know, some people. Like, do you have like a place that you like go to write? Like, do you write in the same room all the time? Do you like go out to your car and sit in your car where you're alone? Like, I have had such a wide, you know, do you have your garage mahal?
Yeah.
You know,
do
you like, what is it that, like, where is your sanctuary, so to speak?
I think wherever I can find an hour or two where I'm in solitary. I'm super self-conscious about especially original stuff. But when you're writing, when you're trying to craft things, you may play the same 3 or 4 chords 100 times.
Yeah.
In an effort to, you know, spark a melody or some sort of cadence that you can put into the song and breathe life into it. And I get super self-conscious. Like if I'm strumming through the same 3 or 4 chords, somebody's going to yell from the other room like, "Quit playing that!"
Yeah.
And so I do tend to focus better and write better when I'm by myself. I don't necessarily have one specific spot that I go.
Okay.
But
that's interesting, yeah.
Like the song, the Love Somebody Right, I actually wrote in my girlfriend's living room. And she was in bed. She had gone to bed. And I was just up. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just strumming through. And
isn't it kind of ironic, though? You're writing a love song for someone who's in another room.
Sleeping in the other room, yeah.
In solitude. I think I always laugh at that. Yeah. I always laugh at that. It's like, where'd that spark? You know, like, oh, I was by myself in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But that's interesting. Like, I have, I would say there's 2 main places that I've always written, and it's always on the couch in my living room at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, which is another question I have for you. Certain time of day?
Nighttime.
Nighttime.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, you're a night music like me. I love it.
Yeah.
So,
candle and a cup of coffee, like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still feverishly writing machine.
Etching lyrics out on the back of your guitar. But, you know, the other place is I've tried to create a vibe in a certain like environment in my my music room where I typically teach online lessons in my home. There's like a music room where I teach, but then it's also where I like do all my mixing for projects here at the studio. Like if I have to take something home and the guys are working here, or if I'm doing my pre-production for writing, I typically will write the tune on my couch, but then I'll like hurry to the back room and then I get all the mojos of all the extra stuff of how to add it in that room. And what I've done is I have like all the inspiring artists that I like absolutely love, you know. Joe Pass is a guitar player, like Stevie Wonder, like things like that. And I have their old pictures of when they were like super young and just starting, typically on like the top row of my thing. So it gives me like they're watching, you know what I mean? It's like this weird mental
musical
thing.
ancestors kind of thing.
It's like this weird, it's this weird thing. But I picked it up. I actually picked it up during quarantine. It was like, how can I get outside of what's happening in the world and focus on just here and now?
Yeah.
And it really helped. You know, really helped for me. It really helped a lot because I needed that space to do that.
Yeah, I like I said, anywhere I can kind of carve out an hour or two just by myself. If I'm feeling creative, there are times where I sit down to write or to noodle or whatever, and then all that comes out are just cover songs or I'd rather play this now.
Yeah.
Or learn something. But I had a little studio set up in my old house before I moved out. And it's a little recording studio with like a Boss 8-track kind of thing. Okay. But I had the same thing, pictures up on the walls, like inspiring quotes and.
Oh yeah, like, my bedroom is full. Like Like every wall has like multiple posters that's like inspiring quotes, motivational quotes.
Yeah. Old album covers too that I'll like just stare at.
I haven't done that. That's a good idea. I should do that in my spare bedroom. I have a few Salvador Dali paintings in my spare bedroom right now.
What did he play?
He played the canvas.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads me into my next question, oddly enough. Like, what are some things outside of music that might like inspire you? Like do you find like there's let me be a little more specific. Do you find that there's like one inspiration when you write songs, like a reason why you're writing it? Or is it just like, it makes me feel good, it makes me feel like who I'm supposed to be? Or is it like, I want to take down the man and write political tunes? You know, like,
I've done one of those. It didn't turn out so great. Yeah.
Like, what is it that kind of gives you that, you know, that seedy coreness to like, what makes you do it? Do you know?
I have 3 kids, and so sometimes something will happen during the day, where like my daughter's 9 and she'll say something or do something and it'll just that little spark like, man, I'm pretty lucky to be here in this moment or whatever. And then I'll feel like I want to write something that kind of reflects that.
Okay.
But aside from my kids, nature, like walking through the woods and being out in nature will sometimes kind of inspire that to me. Either just the sound of the rhythmic footsteps going through nature and I'll kind of come up with something in my head, or just the stillness of it. And one of my favorite places to hike is the Dunes National Park, and kind of go out there.
I've never hiked there, believe it or not.
It's busy, but it's great.
Yeah.
And a couple trails you can take that you feel like you're by yourself. You know you're not, but you feel like you're by yourself, and then it's just you and your thoughts, which, you know, can go either way. It's either super dangerous and I gotta get out of here, or you come back and you're like, oh, this is my masterpiece.
You just run towards the lake naked.
Yeah. I do that at the state park. Oh, okay. That's why I can't go back.
Yeah. I've been banned. I'm not allowed in Monroe County. Okay. So it's just like, I mean, life in general, but specifically, it sounds like you said nature and having these thoughts about living in the moment, you know? Like, is there something in your life that makes you, do you like have practices like meditation or anything like that kind of inspire you to do those things? Or is it just something that you've just picked up over the years?
Yeah, it's just something I've picked up over the years. Okay. I mean, you know, I started doing the music thing when I was 20 or 21, before I had kids.
Okay.
And at that point, I could really kind of throw myself at it and focus on it. And then when I was 25, I had my son. I didn't have him. My girlfriend had him.
Oh, okay. That was a big misconception for me. But I understand.
I know. It looks like it. But and then after that, it was like just having to work and having to figure out how to fit it in with what I was doing then. And I didn't always do a good job. There was times where I neglected what I was supposed to do with my family in order to go out and do this. But once I was in it for a while, and life gets in the way, but at the same time, you can kind of piece everything together and do it in a way that complements both your personal life with family life and then my passion.
I think so many people feel like it's such a. I think it's a good point you made, because so many people think it's like one or the other. Like, you know, I kind of decided to keep myself at it. Not that I've definitely, to be frank, I've not like closed myself off to anything like a relationship or anything, but I'm very focused on my music because truly I feel like I'm married to music. I know that sounds kind of funny, but like music is like, it's my thing, you know? It's like, it's absolutely my purpose. It's my tool for me in the way that I believe. It's my tool to leave something, to just do the right thing for Earth, you know, for what has been predestined to me, you know, God, universe, whatever anybody wants to call it. I feel like that's my calling. And so I always am interested, because a lot of musicians kind of stick to something like that, but they don't necessarily, it's not the same as me, but it's like for you, it's like nature, your children, like what you're doing is like you're leaving almost like a, I was reading a post on Facebook today, someone who had lost their mother many, many, many years ago and lost her at a very young age. And her mom gave her like a book that said like, it was like the guidelines to being whatever. It was some kind of thing like that. And it was essentially her guidance of how to grow into being like a woman. And And so I think about that, and it's like I thought about that before we got started, and I thought that's something I want to ask if there's something because I know you have children. Is there is like the music for your kids, or is it more for you? Is it like
I mean, it has been. I've written like
okay.
instrumental things for my daughter, and I start out writing songs that I think my kids will like, either about them or something that my middle daughter is super into, like Rex Orange County, and she'll play me things, and then I'll try to like goof around, write something that sounds like him. But they appreciate what I do, but I don't know that I've ever like. Sounds horrible to say, and I'm sorry, kids, if you're watching this, but I don't know that I've ever like made it for them.
okay? Not intentfully, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. But at some point, I think everything that we write tends to be for someone at some point, even if we didn't intend for it to be. Sometimes it's for ourselves. Like I've written songs where I write a song and then it ends up being at one point in my life about something, and then like later on in life, I'm like, oh, that was about like Tuesday's situation, you know? It was totally different than what it was before, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my daughter will come with me to open mics, and she's a singer too. She'll sing a little bit. I'll play accompany. I will accompany her, but she's kind of getting into it now, and we're kind of a musical family. My son doesn't really do much with it, but he likes what I do, and
so it's an inspiration to them, at least.
It is, yeah, it
to
is.
some degree, yeah.
And I want to at least make them proud of what I'm doing, rather than like roll their eyes and like, oh, Dad's doing this again.
Yeah,
you know?
He's singing this love song again.
And they're really good about not showing me that in person. If that's how they feel about it, they're really good about lying to be like, Dad, you're great. But it's. They make me feel centered, and when I'm centered, I do better work. So, I mean, I guess in a roundabout way, it does kind of from them, even if I don't directly aim it.
Yeah, that's just not one of my experiences. You know, I don't have children or anything. So I'm always interested to hear someone who is a father talk about that. Like, it's really interesting to me. That's all.
Yeah. And there are times where
complete selfishness. Sorry, you guys had to hear that for 7 minutes straight.
There are times where it pulls. You know, like I want to go do something, but somebody's got a choir concert or something, and you got to make the choice. And obviously, the right choice is to do the dad thing and take care of your family, my family. And it's been difficult at times, but over the years, I'll turn 41 next month. And you just kind of mellow out. You lose that 20-something like rock star, like I want to tour the whole country on a bus, and now it's like,
what's that like? I still want that.
Yeah. I'm to the point now where it's like, if I have a song and somebody hears it and they're like, that would sound good if somebody else did it. Like I would consider selling songs, but I'm a homebody, and I don't really like getting out, and the idea of living on a bus for 3 or 4 months while everybody else is at home living life and doing school things, it's like, it kind of sucks,
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So what's the next tune?
Next tune is it's called, let's see, what is it called? Right Between the Eyes.
Okay. Well, let's play it, and then we'll chat a little bit about it afterward.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Hit the bottle, numb the pain. Another joint to stop this southbound train. If you're just here to see me cry, that ain't me. That ain't me. All those nights you needed fun. I never felt like the only one. A red-eyed confession got us going round again, and it feels like story time's the only time we spend. But I can't fight the battle if you're the only one it won't. And your loving caught me by surprise, and in a couple hours you'll come purring round again. And come and love me, woman, you'll love me right between the eyes. Oh, between the eyes. Pack my things and hit the door. But your last call bought you just one more. My head is spinning as you're lining up your shot. We're half past the label, you say, give me all you got. But I can't fight the battle if you're the only one it won't. And your loving caught me by surprise, and in a couple hours you'll come purring round again. And there ain't no choir singing, there ain't no church bells ringing. You're the devil in disguise, and if the world stops turning or you got my head burning, someone, girl's gonna cut you down to size. Yeah, I can't fight the battle if you're the only one it won't. And your loving caught me by surprise, and in a couple hours you'll come purring round again. You'll come and love me, woman, you'll love me right between the eyes.
You knew her too?
Everyone's got one of those, I think.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Call her out by name.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the first song I tried writing non-autobiographically. Like, I had a little bit of an experience with that, but I mean, I tend to write about myself in the songs, you know, because we're all narcissists. But that was the first
It's all
song.
about me.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I've got the microphone, thank you. But yeah, that was the first song I tried to write about something outside of my life. And a little kernel of my life, but the character in it is not me. So
I love the hook line right between the eyes. Man, it's just like, oh. I remember, I think I told you that the first time we ever played together. I was like, man, that line, I'm telling you that line. And there's also a line at the very beginning, the train running south.
Oh, yeah.
Is that just a metaphor for things are going south, or
yeah, like the mental health kind of thing?
So it is. I wasn't sure if it was that or if it was like a double entendre where it actually had a different meaning to it.
Yeah, no, it's like hit the bottle, numb the pain, and then another joint to stop the southbound train. Just like the guy's like spiraling, like,
Yes.
oh, I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, because I got that imagery, but I was like, I tend to hear things very symbolic, but
Yeah.
maybe it was literal. I didn't know.
Yeah. No, it was.
But by the way, that was really, that song I've always liked because like I could feel like I'm in there for many reasons, but mostly because of how you've laid out the lyrics. So that's a question I want to talk about. Because I am selfish and I want to know why. So What was it like writing like that? Writing that song? Do you remember the process?
Yeah.
Was the music first? Was the feel of the feel of the music first, or was it like a thing of? Well, I'll let you just answer that first before I go on too much.
The intro part was actually cannibalized from another song I had written. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it was a song that I had written. Carolina or something, and then it just didn't work out. It didn't come together right, and it was actually up here. And then I was just noodling one day, and I just liked that kind of the two voicings together, and then originally it was a much darker that Right Between the Eyes was a much darker song, and I was like, this is way too moody. Like people are gonna be like, man, this guy's a sad bastard, and
like me.
And so, then it just turned into like kind of this toxic back and forth. But the chorus came first, and the line, "I can't fight the battle if you're the only one at war," and then it like the whole metaphor in there was like, yeah, you love me, but it's kind of like bad for my health.
Yeah,
and so the kind of the battle or war metaphor in the middle is just kind of that like push and pull between whoever's in that song. Like I'm doing it too. Like I'm here being my own man, and we're going this back and forth thing, but I don't want to be here, or it's not good for me, or whatever. And that's, I think people can identify with that too. But yeah, the chorus came first, and then from there I just kind of tried to work around and fit things in that made some sense and kind of complemented the.
Do you typically write lyrics or music first?
Music first. I noodle
first.
way more than I pen lyrics or poetry or anything. So
if we dive, may I dive into your lyrical brain here for a moment?
Okay.
So when you're writing lyrics, what does that process look like? Do you have like this insane notebooks of lines? Is it, I have this line because I spoke to a friend at a dinner party one time, or
yeah, I was really drunk with my buddies and they said something funny.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is it that kind of thing, or is it all of them? What typically for that particular tune? Like, how did you get that tagline?
It was just the cadence.
Completely for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Is this song going to be on your next album?
It might be. Right Between the Eyes. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously we know what that means, but like, what made you think of that? Like, what was it that, like, were you consciously thinking, I need to get that kind of line?
Yeah.
Okay.
The war metaphor.
Let's start with there.
Like, the idea, like, you're going to love me right between the eyes, kind of encapsulated that whole, like, yeah, we're doing this and you're going to love me in your own way, but it's so bad for me and it's not good. And so it started off as me mumbling, just like playing back and forth or doing the chorus. And I'm like, mama, and just trying to figure out a melody. And then like a cadence kind of snapped in. And then maybe I got one or two words out of that, the only one at war or whatever, that kind of popped in. And then from there, just kind of expanded outward. But
so it really does rely a lot on music for you then.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
I tend to listen to, even though I'm playing it and it's coming out of my head, I tend to listen to it as a passive listener. Like, what is the mood of it? What is it trying to tell me? And then try to write things that complement.
So would you say, in an essence, then, that you're almost like just like the song already almost exists, but you're just like a vessel of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're getting into it, Chase. We're getting into it.
I hear so many songwriters say that like their best songs came from outside of their body. They just sat down and chords popped out, and then the lyrics were just there, and the melody was there, and the lyrics were there. But like the songs I'm most proud of.
Does that give you goosebumps sometimes?
Right now,
yeah. I know. I'm like, I love that shit, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. I'm just like, I don't know why it happens other than what I perceive it to be.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so cool. We're just like, in a way, we're just like ferrymen on a boat taking people to the next destination for this generation.
Yeah.
It's like this weird parable, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's also the hard part of it, too, is because you could play cover tunes for 3 hours in a bar and have a great time, but you start writing things that are vulnerable or, like there's some life happenings in it. It kind of opens you up to that, man, if somebody critiques this and they say this song sucks, like that's me, that's my life. And there's that vulnerability to it.
You needy.
Yeah. Like, okay,
Leave me alone.
Yeah, right. So this was Brown Eyed Girl for the millionth time in a bar, but this is a song I wrote about the time my girlfriend got mad at me, wouldn't speak to me for a week,
Yeah.
and then like people either love it or they, or they ignore it completely. But but yeah, it's fun, man. You create something, you take all the influences like Stevie Wonder or Bill Withers or wherever you're at musically, Johnny Cash, and then you kind of make a hybrid of what's in your head versus what you do, the lyrics and the music and the songs I'm most proud of. I don't feel like I even wrote them. Like they just kind of popped out of the ether somewhere, and I was like, oh, well, now I have a song.
That happened to me with my song "Hey Stranger" that'll be coming out on my next Nick Kazonis band album. Dead asleep, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Was dreaming about this woman, and I was at my wedding. I was cognitive that I was waiting, like at my wedding. Okay, it was weird. And I'm on stage singing to my bride, but her back is towards me, so I can't see her face. And I'm like, the tagline is called "Hey Stranger."
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, "Hey, stranger, this, that, the other. Hey, stranger, this, that, the other." And I'm like talking to her, trying to seduce her to turn around.
On your wedding day.
On my wedding day. Yeah, I was like, this is so weird.
That's great.
And so, and it just cracks me up because like I never got to see her face.
Yeah.
And so but the thing was, I knew I was dreaming because first of all, that's never going to happen. Second of all, I woke up from that dream. I was like, "Wake up, asshole. Let's get this song going." Because the lyrics were there. Everything was there.
Yeah.
Everything was 100% there. I remember waking up dead ass tired, 3 o'clock in the morning, going on my couch, had a pen and paper, had my phone record, like the phone recorder thing.
Yeah.
Played through it, sang the horn lines and all that kind of shit. Saved it, wrote it. Everything was written down. Closed the book. Turned the light off. Went back to bed. That song was 100% just like given to me in a dream.
Yeah.
And people think that's weird and stupid, and that didn't really happen. No, I'm telling you, that literally happened. I don't know how. I don't know why, but it did.
Some people wake up in the middle of the night to go pee or grab a snack or something.
I write songs. As I always joke with Nick J, my bass player in Caught on Clan. We shit hits, But so one more quick kind of thing about that. What just sparked in my mind is, I use my phone like as like a technology kind of thing to help me with that. Do you find technology to enhance or to hinder the writing process?
I will admit that, I was 41. And so the first part of what I did was kind of pen and paper, doing it analog, as they say. And then I got a smartphone with the record feature on it. And I can keep track of ideas for a lot longer with my phone, or if I'm at work and like a lyric
melodies
pops,
and shit.
Yeah. I've got a couple saved on my phone, just me in a van, like bah, 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 like singing a melody line. I listened back to it later, and I was like, really? But
I got this one. That's been haunting me. It's been like in my phone for at least 5 years. And I was like, it's so cheesy. I'm like, why do I have this? Why did I write this? But. Maybe someone likes cheese, so I should probably just release it, Oh my God, this is like the cheesiest thing I've ever written.
Yeah. And then one day it's going to happen to where you're out and you hear something or see something, and then
I think what happened personally, I think that I'm holding it in the reservoir because I think it's supposed to be a duet with a specific singer that I haven't met yet.
Yeah.
It's weird. I think that's
cool,
what it is. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's like this hook,
Yeah, but I do use technology to keep track of ideas, but I am not so good at the SoundClouds and the YouTubes and as far as like getting it out.
Yeah,
that's all kind of new to me. Like I really just started posting things on my YouTube channel recently, and part of it's the old grandpa, like, nah, I don't want to use technology for it. But then
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. But then you realize, like, all these bars, they're looking at that, and the places that are looking for talent, like, that's just an easy way to say, this is what I do.
Just because you came into the studio here at Regent Buzz recently and did an EPK, and like I was asking, I was like, how's it working for you? Like, is it helping you book? And you're like, yeah. It already got me like 4 gigs, and it's like, it pays for itself, like it's like that, it just really is helpful.
Yeah, it's like a Cliff's Notes version of
what
you do.
I tell people it's like watching a athlete's highlight reel.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. So,
but
anyways, enough about that. Let's talk about the next tune. What's the next one?
The next one is the oldest one I'm going to play today. It's been around since, I don't know, 2000.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. It was black and white when I first wrote it. 2007-ish. And also, it's a song about a relationship ending. And so I've played a love song, a song about bad love, and now I'm going to write a song about or play a song around.
He doesn't write many love songs.
No.
That's not his inspiration, just so you know.
But it's probably, I hate to use the word funky because, but it's probably the jazziest thing I've written. And it's called The Storm, and it's also a metaphor for, like, end of a relationship, storm comes, and just wipes everything out.
Chase, didn't someone else have one called The Storm? Or was it? No, it was Wave. It was like waves. They used the metaphor, like water, stormy metaphor.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a storm. Was it the storm, Chase, or do you remember?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay. I can't remember who it was. Someone did it. I got to think about that for a bit. But at any rate, this one's an A minor. Anybody wanted to play along?
Yeah, right? A minor. And Nick Kazonis on the lead guitar on this one.
Boo, that guy sucks.
Caught on the couch.
Yeah.
All right.
The storm rolled in, the storm rolled in just as the sun fell down. The wind had made an eerie mournful sound, and the rain came down and crashed like ocean waves. Before you knew it, life was washed away. And prayed for sunrise, but it came too late. No, it never came. And the storm that comes to take me away will bring me back another day. And I'll come back smarter, 'cause this I found: if my world is gonna end again, I'd rather burn it to the ground. I'll burn it to the ground, yeah. A day will come, Lord, a day will come when I have found someone, pretty little thing that can make my motor run. Another lover kept undercover, and the web that spun will be half the fun. But I won't need it, no, and I won't need that old familiar pain. So bring on the rain and the storm that comes to take me away will bring me back another day. And I'll come back smarter, 'cause this I found: if my world is gonna end again, I'd rather burn it to the ground. I'll burn it to the ground, yeah. a storm that comes to take me away will bring me back another day. And I'll come back smarter, 'cause this I found, if my world is gonna end again. Oh, and the storm that comes to take me away, bring me back another day. And I'll come back smarter, 'cause this I found, if my world is gonna end again, I'd rather burn it to the ground.
I didn't write that last little. Somebody else did that for me.
So I'm going to dive even deeper now. So in the lyrics, it was definitely metaphorical, right? Metaphorical. Do you intentfully write it to be metaphorically? Or do you ever write literal? Do you ever write like, this is exactly what happened and blah, blah, blah? Or are you like, nope, that's too personal. I'm going to mask it up.
I've definitely written one where I was like, this is just a little too on the nose. Like, you know, and I imagine like the Taylor Swift syndrome, which is you write about somebody and then all of a sudden it's all like, this is written about this person. And then, you know, like,
and then they're in the back like, oh.
Yeah, if the universe ever graces me with, you know, some sort of regional or worldwide fame or a song I write, I don't want to have to explain like, hey man, that was written a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I know that was about me. But I do mask
like,
a little bit.
I would tell him like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you so much.
You don't get royalties, but you know, thank you. But yeah, I mean, there are times I have a lot of songs in the songbook that are a little more literal, a little more on the nose. But sometimes it's harder for me to push through and feel justified in the message. Like I'm writing the song, it's coming along nicely, and then I step back and read the lyrics, or I look at the lyrics, and I'm like, man, this. It's just personal critique. It's me being my own worst critic, but there are times where I tend to back off more of the on the nose songs than I do the metaphorical ones.
Okay.
Because I do try to write things also that I can imagine people would identify with. Somebody would listen and like, oh yeah, I remember a story like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with writing autobiographically is that if you get a little too personal and then it seems insulated. Like, oh, that's his thing.
That's kind of how I felt for a long time. When I would like try to write something super literal, I was like, this is a little too. I used to call it stale, but I think the correct thing for me in the verbiage for that now is it's more about like I write music for other people, including myself, but mostly it's for other people. So if I'm writing it to be too personal and they don't understand what the hell I'm talking about because the situation is a little too literal, then the message gets lost.
Yeah.
You know? And so I want it to be where anybody can listen to it. For me, like maybe it was a breakup song or a bad relationship or bad love or something. But I want it to be where like maybe it's just about loss.
Yeah.
And so it could be like someone losing, unfortunately, like a parent or, you know, like a son or something, you know, just like that kind of thing where I want it to be where anybody can like relate to it, you know, at any age, at any time period. I like to try to keep it to where it's like timeless, you know?
Yeah.
Try to keep it to where it's timeless. So what's next for you, man? Like, what's the move moving forward? I mean, you have so many great tunes. Are you trying to work on any kind of like album or anything? Are you starting like a campaign of releasing singles? Are you just not doing anything? Are you, what's the plan? What's the thing moving forward?
I don't know. I do a lot under the radar, I guess. I don't get out much.
I know you do, but that's why I wanted you on the show because I wanted to find out what was going on.
Thank you. I play at home all the time, and I try to write and work on things. And the COVID pandemic, as detrimental as it's been for working musicians who, you know, depend on the income from gigs and things, like it's given me an extended time to either learn new material if I'm playing covers or work on my technique and the things that I do. If I can get better, I've really been approaching vocals more seriously, and the technique. And it may not show here, but the higher stuff, the up there range,
the upper range, yeah.
Working on that more, and trying to get out. And my game plan for the next 6 months is just keep having fun with it. The gigs will fall where they are, and I've got a job.
So mostly like gigs, you would say then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of get out and playing for the fun of it. And
Yeah.
Eventually maybe I'll put a compendium together, the saga of Tom McClure. It's 900 love songs and one angry, happy anarchy protest song. But yeah,
there's 99 love songs and one political song that you won't even know it's political, and it's masked actually as a love song.
It's the happiest. It's the happiest anarchy song you've ever heard in your entire life.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, so it's it. It's just the love of it. And it's part of me, like you said, it's part of who I am. And the longer I go without that kind of release of the tension, the more internal it gets. And I didn't realize how badly I missed performing live until I went out for the first time and had like a super successful where people are like, yeah,
people
singing
are like,
along.
oh my God, stay out of their seats and not throwing tomatoes at you.
Yeah. People walking up to the tip jar every few minutes and throwing stuff in. Like, man, I missed this so much. And that's just kind of it, just going out and playing for people. And like I said, I got a couple gigs coming up this summer at, can I plug it here? Can I?
No, yeah, please.
219 Tap Room in Chesterton. I've got some gigs coming up this summer. Next one, I think May 14th, which will be, 2 days before this airs? I think it airs on Sunday.
Yeah.
My gig is on a Friday night, so.
Yeah. So go back in time and go back to the Friday of previous of when this was just released.
Yeah. They let you do that at the tap room. I don't know if you know that.
Well, at least they'll know where you're at and kind of see what your schedule is and stuff.
Yeah, and there's a couple more coming up this summer. I'm aiming with the help of the EPK that I've done here, get more stuff out there. And it's mostly covers. I will admit most of my bar shows are covers that people can sing along with and dance.
I mean, if they like what they see and heard, at least for your originals, your voice, you're playing.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing, and that's
throw
okay.
A couple in there, a couple originals in there, but.
Do you have your social media pages all up and running and stuff? And
I do. Yeah, I mean,
tell them where they can find your music, maybe Spotify or whatever, if you got that thing going on.
I'm at right now. All of my stuff that I've ever recorded is at reverbnation.com/Tom McClure, TOMMCCLURE. And I mean, it's everything from demos I recorded back in my 20s to the EP that I recorded here. There's a couple songs up from that, and it's all free to listen to. You don't have to pay anything to get into it, and I think they're all free to download too if you like them that much. But just there. I'm on YouTube. I'm not even sure of the link because I don't have enough followers or people that like me to actually make a creative YouTube.
QZ496.
That's it. Yeah. It's
yeah. But look him up so that he can have enough so that he can get a unique ID.
Yeah, there you go. And then just
very cool. Well, we'll make sure we put that information. Chase will get it before we close out the show and put it at the end here in about 30 seconds when we close it out.
All right.
And do you have any final thoughts of anything you want to kind of tell people?
I think this is awesome. I think the way this is all structured and set up, I think what you guys are doing is pretty awesome. And I've watched a couple of these Freaky Friday songwriter sessions, the acronym, I'm not sure what it is. But
Freakin Friday. It's Freakin Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Fridays, we're moving up to Sundays. The first Sunday one for Songwriter Sunday, we're calling them. It's easier for people to remember. And it's also summer. So people are out on Fridays. So we're doing it on Sundays so that people can sit back, wind down, get ready for the week, and just listen to some cool acoustic tunes and hear stories about our selfish lives and how we like to make them into songs.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a good way of getting some talent that, I live in Porter County, so a lot of times getting out this way into Maryville and those areas, I don't see the kinds of people that you're familiar with that you see out here. And so...
And by the way, these three counties right here, Lake, Porter, and LaPorte, have incredible talent, man.
They really do. They really do. I mean...
I tell people all the time, this show is going to open up the opportunity I personally think to where people are going to be like, there is so much music, original music,
Right.
in this area that is just so good. It's just so good, man. Like,
yeah.
one day someone's going to come back and write a documentary about us. It's going to happen.
You think so?
It's going to happen.
Region Rats, the
It's gonna
documentary or
happen.
something?
Yep. Yep, it's going to happen.
I
From
like
the stank of the steel mills, you know,
Comes the steel.
comes
of-
Johnny
yeah.
Steele, you know, whatever, singer-songwriter. But I feel like this is a place. This is a special place for
Yeah.
music. I really do, because we're so close to Chicago, we're so close to South Bend, Indianapolis, where we have just so much history. But this is where it's at. We're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and I think now that things are opening up and people are getting vaccinated and bars are a little more open to having live music, I think it's going to be a fun summer to go out and catch people.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, it's like what's that old song? It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be like everybody's just going to be partying that kind of style, like
Yeah.
in the streets.
Which is also how we get back into trouble. So don't.
Yeah,
party
so
too
don't
hard.
do that. Yeah,
Don't party too hard.
we don't want to overflow our police officers. It is Police Week, I believe, when this films. So thank you to our police officers and our first responders. All right, this is Songwriter Sunday. Thank you so much. I'm your weekly host, Nicholas Kazonis. I want to thank Tom McClure so much for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks, guys.